So, without further ado, if you're ready for your next highlighted poet, let me hear you say, yeah? Yeah. Make some noise, y'all, for Jovan McKoy.
How y'all doing? My name is Jovan. Y'all can follow me on, before I get into my poem, y'all can follow me on Instagram at The Poet Bull, The Poet B-U-L. And before I get into my poem, I just want to do a trigger warning. And this trigger warning is for anyone who is dealing with or knows someone who is dealing with dissociative identity disorder. Thank you. Most days, I don't feel like myself. It's almost like my demons know me more than I do. It's almost like the walls of this house knows me more than I do. Even when my furniture shifts like my behavior, even when the altars alter all that gave me sanctuary, but she is always familiar. Even when I'm lost in between a matter of moments, when God gives my body a new being, it's being a hostel, a house, a haven for visitors who I only know as unwanted company, but she is always familiar. I remember the first time I met her fine ass. It was a hot summer of '76, her and I hitting the boogie on her mama's porch, this air smothered in the smell of catfish and liquor, but she smelt something familiar. Like the roses in Nana's garden, she had autumn all in her aura, moving with the wind like dandelions. She was a walking bouquet, so it was only right that I gave this woman her flowers. The sun as hot and bothered as she was, her skin as brown as the love in her eyes. This woman made me feel good. With a voice like a church sermon that I ain't hear in a month of Sundays. And she felt like Sundays with scripture on her lips. It was God in this woman. And even with all the prayers scattered through my speech, she always made sure her name never dwelled too far from my tongue. She looks at me differently nowadays. Not like the first time we met that winter night of '03, the sky as black as the soot in between our fingers, the snow, as soft as her skin, cold as the gaze I always receive from her mother. She always tells me that the nicotine smoke is beginning to cloud my judgment. She wonders if I'm a cancer to her child. Always warning her daughter of inconsistent men like myself, like my condition is supposed to have her question if her love is still unconditional, like she isn't going to be able to see home in my eyes anymore. I knew I seen home in this woman, built like a brick house whom I knew I find comfort in, a place where I can rest these thoughts that tend to wander off too impulsively. A fireplace to warm all the spaces of the memories that tend to stray too far from home. And she always felt like home. Me. Just a halfway house of strangers so I can understand if she begins not to feel whole. Like my fractures fraction everything around me. Broken glass from a two-way mirror, and lately I've started to even question my own reflections. I always reflect on how she would fill the gaps. When my memories don't hold on to me like she used to. When the hours bend to days and the days don't bend to my whim like they used to. And between all the conversations I can't recall. And between all the anniversaries I promised I wouldn't forget. And between all the nights we would make love and she would sense another man's presence in the room. And between all the promises that I could never fit. Sometimes I get jealous of how well she knows me, Sometimes, I wonder how she can love a war waging inside a single vessel. Sometimes, but never always. And all she wants is always. When she shows me her ring finger, the vows, they up there lingering somewhere still, I promise. I'm scared to tell her that I have no recollection of our wedding. Remember, through sickness and through health, and baby, my mental health is going through it. She shows me a picture of our baby. I see another man in his face. Remember how your mama always said how she seen a son in me. It's just at times she sees another man in my face, but one thing that'll never change is that she is always familiar, like that snow in that cold winter '03, like the heat permeating our skin of that summer of '76 cold. She was hot, she was like that summer of '76 thick, just like the soot in between our fingers. She was a walking bouquet, so I had to forgive her flowers, me starting to forget her name. She doesn't see home in my eyes like she used to, me starting to forget her name. She felt like Sundays and is starting to feel like I haven't seen her in a month of Sundays. But one thing is always familiar. Even when I'm not familiar. And when she says that my personality is one of the most beautiful things about me, all we can say most days, I don't even recognize myself. It's almost like my demons know me more than I do.